Dear students, in the previous video we talked about the plant tissues where we talked about the meristematic tissues, and as I have told you, the next kind we have read was permanent tissue, and in the permanent tissue we have discussed the basic feature of permanent tissue is that they do not change their shape and size. They have a sense of permanency, right? So see, the permanent tissues are basically classified into the first kind. This is the first kind, simple permanent tissue. And what is the second kind? The second kind is, this is the second kind, that is complex permanent tissue, right? So these complex permanent tissues I will take later in the next video, but today we will talk about the simple permanent tissue. So simple permanent tissues at the basic level are classified as parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma, right? This parenchyma, these are the just immediately after their nature of meristematic part, they take the shape. You can say they are little bit developed, little bit grown ups. The more features and development you will notice in them as regards their shape. They are shape and structure when we talk, they are isodiametric. Isodiametric means suppose there is a cell of this size and its diameter is say 3 centimeters, right? If this cell's diameter is 3 centimeter, the other cell that will make this tissue, the diameter of the second also will be 3 centimeter. If there is another cell, the diameter will be 3 centimeter. This means iso meaning same diameter of the same diameter. So in parenchyma, the cells that make this tissue, they are isodiametric, means they are nearly of the same size. Regarding their shape, they may be spherical in shape, like a ball. You have seen different kinds of balls you use for playing. Say the cricket ball, the basketball, the volleyball. So this kind of various balls you see. So the shape is spherical like a ball. Or some of the cells, they may be oval. Oval means they may be bulging at one place. You see, you inflate the balloon and sometimes you hold the part of balloon and you just contract it, you will see a second part bulges out. So generally oval means the surface is protruding, right? So some of these cells, sometimes in parenchyma, they are oval in shape and some are polygonal. Polygonal, you may have read about the pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, octagon. Polygonal means they have so many sizes. This is hexagonal, this is pentagonal, right? So this way the cells may have different sides, and that is a closed figure. So what about their shape? They may be spherical like a ball, they may be oval or protruding on the surface, or they may be polygonal in the shape of pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, octagon. Octagon, how many sides? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So hexaheptagonal. So this way they may be polygonal in shape. This is regarding the shape of the cells that make parenchyma. The another very important thing is they are thin walled. This wall of the cell, I am moving my pen on this wall or boundary, that is not thick, that is very thin. Thin means it doesn't have enough thickness because they are just have come into their permanency developing from the meristematic tissues or meristematic cells. So this cell wall, if you compare, suppose this one is cell number 1 and this one is cell number 2. If I say out of this cell number 1 and cell number 2, whose this cell wall is thick, so you can easily see, as I have moved my pen 2-3 times on this wall of second cell, you can say the wall of second cell is thicker and the wall of cell number 1 and the cell number 3, they are thinner. So nearly all these cells that make parenchyma, they are thin wall and intercellular spaces are present. Means this place, I am just shading it in red. You see, this place is called intercellular space. That I have shaded red is the space in between cell number 1, 2 and 3. So this space, this vacant place is known as intercellular space, so the space in between the cells, right? So these cells, they that make the parenchyma, they are in between them, there is a gap or space, and that is called, this is another important feature of parenchyma. And these cells are abundant in plant body, means you can say more than 70% of the tissues are present in the plant body, they are parenchyma, right? So must know that that a major share of the plant body is made up of parenchyma. Clear? So this parenchyma, they are abundant in the plant body, then they are present in the cortex and pith. If this is the stem, so all this part, you can see all this part of the stem, and in this region, these all are cortex and pith, they are present, this parenchyma, right? They are present in the pulp of fruits. I have given you one question in the summer vacation assignment, that take an apple and name different kinds of tissues that make this apple, right? So the pulp of the part of the apple that you eat that tastes sweet, so that is parenchyma. If you see, if this is the apple, and you cut it into half, so this portion is the parenchyma that you eat. This is made up of parenchyma. You have a question in the summer vacation assignment. I have given you that take an apple and name the different kinds of tissues that make this apple. So this part of the apple is parenchyma. This parenchyma, right? Will you remember this parenchyma? So what is this one? Parenchyma. So parenchyma tissues. This parenchyma tissues make this apple. So it is also present in the mesophyll of leaves. You know mesophyll. If this is the leaf I have drawn you many times. If this is the leaf, if you cut this leaf from this place and observe this thickness, the transverse section, if you observe, I will show you. If this is the leaf and if you cut this leaf from here, suppose from this portion, if I cut this leaf, I have just broken the leaf from here, and when you observe here, this portion, when you observe this portion under magnification with the help of a microscope, so the upper and lower part is epidermal part, is skin part or cutaneous part. Just below that, the packing that gives thickness to this leaf, though it's very thin, but when you observe it under from this portion, when you observe, after the top surface of both sides, in between there is packing of cells that make this tissue, and that tissue is parenchyma. So where will you find the mesophills? The mesophyll is just this surface. This surface is the lower surface of the leaf. I'm moving my hand. This surface is the lower surface, and you see this surface is the upper surface of the leaf, right? So in between upper and lower surface, in between this portion, this is very thin. I cannot show you in this without the help of a microscope. We take the section of this and we observe while studying the structure of leaf. So you see this surface and this surface, in between there is packing of cells and tissues. These cells and tissues, they are the parenchyma, right? Is that clear? So where will you find this parenchyma in the plant body? In the cortex and pit, that is in the central region, and in between the bark and the middle of the plant of the stem, this parenchyma. So whereas it is present in the pulp of fruit. So papaya you eat, the portion of the papaya fruit, yellow colored papaya fruit that you eat, that portion that you eat is parenchyma, right? It's so tasty, it tastes sweet, full of water, right? So this parenchyma is present, or it makes the pulp of the fruits. Then it present mesophyll of leaf. Mesophylls means the top surface. This is top surface, this is bottom surface. This inside this there is a filling. This filling inside is inside of this, under this is skin. We say, what is there under your skin? You say, we have flesh. That common man's language, right? They are tissues of different kind. When I will come to animal tissues, I discuss about them, right? What is under the skin? Muscle cells are there, right? We commonly call it meat is there inside, right? So similarly, when you observe this thickness of the leaf, so cutin, the upper surface and the lower surface, just below that, whatever filling is there, that is parenchyma, right? Now regarding its function, what all functions does this parenchyma carries on? This parenchyma, the main function is storage of water and food for the plant. Food for the plant to be used by its different parts, right? So in a plant, the food is stored in the form of starch or glucose or polysaccharides or different kinds of sugars. So these sugars are stored. You eat the fruits, the fruits, the papaya or apple. All these taste so sweet. It's because inside this parenchyma, it stores the what it stores, the sugar or the food for the plant. Is that clear to all of you? And the second important function is it provides temporary support. Whatever this leaf remains just a lateral facing the sun, it's because inside there is a packing of what? There is a packing of this parenchyma, and leaf keeps stretched, right? So the function of this parenchyma is food storage, water storage, and it provides temporary support to the plant parts or plant body, right? And then comes next, modify this. Some of this parenchyma, they change because they contain something else in them. They are little bit different from this normal parenchyma. What is the speciality about these modified ones or changed ones? The difference is that these modified or changed ones, some of these parenchyma tissues, some of their cells in them, they have the chloroplast in them. When they have chloroplast, they may have chloroplast. You know, the chloroplast is the organelle that helps to trap this sunlight and helps it to carry out the process of photosynthesis, right? So this carries out photosynthesis, and at that time this parenchyma is known as chlorenchyma. Remember, this is chlorine. From chloroplast, it is chlorenchyma. This chlorenchyma, you must not confuse with cholenchyma, right? Cholenchyma is different. Parenchyma is different, right? Here chlorine from the because of the presence of chloroplast. This is parenchyma. Is that clear to all of you? So there is this parenchyma sometimes have additional features with them, and these additional features they help them carry out different purposes, different functions in the plant body, and they thus are named differently also. So there is a kind of parenchyma that contains chloroplast in them and hence are known as parenchyma. They help. What is the speciality about them? They have all these features. The cells may be isodiametric, spherical or oval or polygonal in shape. They may be thin walled with intercellular spaces, and they may be present. But regarding their presence, they are generally present in the green parts of the plant body where they help in the process of photosynthesis. So they help in carrying out the photosynthesis. Is that clear to all of you? There is one more kind of this parenchyma where instead of this chloroplast, in between the cells there is these cells, they have big vacuole like air bubbles present in them. Air bubbles, right? If they have air bubbles in them, then these air bubbles, this one air bubbles, you know bubbles, if you take soap and you see in the froth, little of bubbles are there, right? Balloon like structures full of air in them. So these bubbles, air bubbles are present. Air bubbles are present, and these air bubbles, they increase the volume of the cell of the tissue or the plant part, with turning it to become lighter, and this is the main feature that is seen in case of aquatic plants. So the plants that are in water and generally are floating in water, the floating water plants. You may have heard, you must be aware of water hyacinth, right? Water hyacinth, they have big bulb like structures full of this parenchyma. So in that case, this parenchyma is known as parenchyma, right? So this parenchyma has two kinds. Along with these features, some of the parenchyma tissues have the cells which contain chlorophyll and help in the process of photosynthesis, are called as parenchyma. And there is another kind where some of the parenchyma cells, they have air bubbles in them. They increase the volume for buoyancy in the plant body, that keeps them up above the surface of the water, help them float on the water, protect them from drowning or sinking inside this water body. And these such type of parenchyma tissues are known as parenchyma. You may have seen water hyacinth. You see these bubble like structures, you see, and from here you see the leaves, they grow in water hyacinth. This is made up of, you see, sponge like cells, tissues. If you tear it out and observe inside this bubble, you will see the sponge like structure is there, lot of space is there, that is filled with air, and that helps to keep this water hyacinth or other plants keep floating. Though at the time of adverse conditions they develop the roots and just adhere to the surface and retain their life, right? So this is all about the parenchyma. The second kind of simple permanent tissue is little bit developed from this, right? Now what happens, these cells, because of increased number due to growth and due to their development, what happens, their shape slightly changes, they become elongated. Elongated means these cells, their shape become high, means height is more or length will more, you can say rectangular shape. This is, you can say, like the square. What is the difference between a square and rectangle? You see, one of the side increases, right? So this length we say. Similarly, suppose this is the parenchyma. If it will change into parenchyma, what will happen? This will take this shape, right? this will take this shape. It will become elongated. Means their size A2 with one aspect increases. Clear? Is that clear to all of you? So, what is parenchyma? These cells of the parenchyma, when they get elongated, and what is another change that you see? This cell wall. Here you have seen thin cell wall. Where we have seen about the wall as a oval with a thin. You see thin wall there. This cell wall is thin, and but here in case when they turn to become parenchyma, this parenchyma develops and turns to parenchyma. Parenchyma develops, passes its lifespan and turns sclerenchyma. So this is the just for the sake of study we have classified them for the sake of study, right? Clear? So this parenchyma, their shape elongates and this cell wall becomes thick, right? With thickened corners, and their corners also. Suppose you see this is one cell and this is another cell making this tissue, this is the third cell making. So this corner, this is the corner, this is the corner, this is the, these corners will become thick. These corners will become thick like this. These corners will become thick. These corners will become thick. These corners will become thick. Can you see this? This type of shape you will see in case of. Can you notice this? So what happens? These corners in case of parenchyma, the corners become thick. What is the another thing? These cells are compactly packed cells. These cells are compactly packed cells, means you see here I have shown you with this red color in parenchyma, that is intercellular space. But here what will you see? Here this is the first row. Another cell will be in this shape. Now you see where is the intercellular? Do you notice any intercellular space in between the cells? So here you see this cell number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cells I have drawn. Out of these 8 cells, in between cell number 4 and cell number 1, what is there any space? There is no space. But what I told, the corners they become thick. These corners of the cells they become thick. These corners they become thick, right? Where in case of the parenchyma, these corners had the intercellular space, but in case of parenchyma, these corners they become thick because of deposition of lignin. There is a material and that is produced as byproduct, that is lignin deposition turns the corners thick, right? This lignin turns the corners thick, right? So intercellular spaces, though intercellular spaces are not there, but this turns thick. And very important aspect that you must know in case of parenchyma, and that is they are absent in monocot plants. Now before going ahead, I must tell you what is monocot. For you at your level, monocot is the plant where the seeds have endosperm or single cotyledon, right? Now what is single cotyledon? Now let me tell you about two seeds. You just see seeds. This one is the rice. This one is rice seed. Now I will draw one gram seed. This is gram seed. When you check out, sometimes your mother soaks this gram overnight to cook. Is it in your house? And when it happens that sometimes you take this seed and remove the seed coat, and when you remove the seed coat, what you notice, you find two different pieces inside this. Two pieces, golden color or yellow color, pale color, two pieces in that gram, right? You find two pieces clear. But in rice, even if you soak it overnight, you will have the single piece. So single, when the seeds have, for you I am telling you so that you can easily understand about monocot and dicot. When the seeds have single cotyledon or endosperm, these are mono. Mono meaning one, right? Singular. So they have either endosperms or single cell and single cotyledon. Whereas there are pulses, all the pulses, we are commonly using the pulses arhar, the mata, the pea, cowpea, bean, then kajan, that is arhar, and then so many different kinds of pulses we are using, and all of them have two pieces, right, in their seed. So which have two pieces, such plants are called dicot. Cot for cotyledon, right? Dicotyledonous plants or simply dicots, right? Yeah, monocot. So what you'll see, these parenchyma tissues, they are absent in monocot. Some of the example of monocot plants are paddy, wheat, maize,